Okay, my name is Akeyia. We are here today because I am basically trying to get my story out there with my daughter's murder. She was murdered in our home April the 10th, 22. The killer's still out there. I just want justice for my kid, and it's hard.
Today I'm going to introduce you to a girl named Samiyah, a young woman who's most known to folks as Mama was born on the very day represented by love. February 14th, which you could say was no coincidence because the person she'd later grow into would demonstrate how much she showed up for others, looked out for others, and how hard she loved overall when it came to the people close to her. And with every bit of herself she poured into the world wouldn't be able to replace. But it was her family and friends who filled that void throughout her journey. A journey that would end all too soon. This is the story of Samiyah Yellardy.
It happened on the city's south side on April 10th.
I miss you. I love you so much, from Maya.
I believe one life lost is too many.
All day, every day, forever your world, pretty girl.
On February 14th, 2005, Samiyah Yellardy would grace the world with her presence. Her mother being Akeyia Pernell and father was Samiyah Yellardy. Akeyia would become a mother by the age of 14 in the year 2001, pushing her to grow up faster than most, but always made the best out of her situations.
I went to foster care, so that was the roughest time for me. My time spent in foster care with other people's family because I went to 7 homes and a shelter, so that was my roughest time coming up. The father that raised me till I went to foster care left, so he really didn't have a say-so. It was my mom. At first, we was supposedly raised him as my brother. He was gonna be my mom's kid, but when I got pregnant, when I held him in my arms, I was like, nah, yeah, Mom, we can't do that. I didn't know a lot. I was so young, jumping out there early, and I thought I knew, but I didn't know. Regardless of what, I'm determined to have what I need for me and my kids.
They would all be living around Midlothian Village, aka the Ville, with Akeyia having her own apartment and Samiyah lived with his mother who also had an apartment not too far from hers. A small section of apartments off of Midlothian Turnpike, located on the south side. It can remind you of those high-rise project buildings in New York, just not as tall. But its outside appearance wasn't the only similarities, because this place had a grim history dating back to the 70s. Heinous crimes, countless house fires, murders, and weird incidents that would have even detectives scratching their heads. But as we know, living in areas like those are never a choice. Matter of fact, it could sometimes be the only choice you have far as keeping a roof over your family's heads. And that's exactly what Akeyia would do, by any means necessary. Now down the line while living here, Samiyah's parents went through rough patches that would eventually lead to them ending their relationship with one another. But that alone wouldn't stop her father Samiyah from staying close to home. No matter what, he stayed locked in with his family, physically, emotionally, and financially. For the first few years of Samiyah's life, he purchased new clothes on a daily, new shoes weekly, got to the point where she didn't have to wear anything twice. Samiyah would come home, give his daughter a bath, and take her outside to play. It became a routine. And he would then take Samiyah back to her mother's after their daddy-daughter time together. So what someone would call a broken home, Samiyah's undying love for his daughter would ensure that home stayed happy. It's the following year, in 2006, Akeyia along with Samiyah and her son would leave Midlothian Village and move to Forest Brook Apartments off of Warwick Road. By then she had already met someone new and was now pregnant with their third child. So after another year breezes by to 2007, she gave birth to a newborn baby girl named Treyana and called her Yanni for short. So Samiyah, Treyana, Julie, and their mother all together would spend the next 3 to 4 years of their lives here, an area that saw its own levels of violence and crime, but nothing compared to the place they had just left. But so far, growing up in South Richmond, Virginia, Samiyah had a pretty good life. Both parents were hands-on, so her experience was no more or less different than your average black kid coming up during that time. She was growing into a real people's person, the kind of child you meet one day, and by the end of your time together, she'd be telling you to be safe. Oh, I love you. Well-mannered, respectful, and a real daddy's girl. You couldn't tell her that the man holding the title as dad wasn't a superhero in her eyes.
He was the best father. He was the best father in the world. Like, anything she needed, he was like that with me as well. We didn't have to ask for what we wanted or needed. It was there. If I'm talking to my sister and he right there, he heard me asking what I wanted, he's gonna go out and get it in the midst of the conversation. So just imagine, if he like that with me, just imagine how he was with that girl. He was that. I ain't have to do nothing for that little girl.
But by the time she turned 3 years old, her hero would be arrested and sent to prison. See, her father, Samiyah, aka Marty, he came up in Blackwell. He was well driven as a young man, and by the early age of 16, he was already working jobs like Krispy Kreme and Captain D's. But he was also a street dude with loads of ambition. It just went into all the wrong things. So ultimately, he would be in and out of jail majority of his life. But all in all, he was a loving person, very family oriented. So by any means, he was going to take care of his family, even if that meant breaking the law from time to time. But the more you run the streets, the knee deeper you get. And he would unfortunately get into popping pills real heavy. And now he's fighting an addiction that a lot of us from Richmond know all too well. And this will be part of the reason for his recent arrest. He and another woman he dealt with decided to hold up a store together. And after being caught, he insisted on taking her charges along with his own after she claimed to be pregnant with his child. But that was later found out to be a lie. And he'd now have to serve 7 years of his life at the Powhatan Correctional Center. And every single day without missing one, Samiyah would ask her mother, when was her daddy coming home? With no exaggeration involved, this little girl asked for her father every waking day. So as Samiyah's father served his sentence, her mother Akeyia would have to face her own struggles of single parenthood. As the years passed up until 2013, we coming up on the fall season in November. Samiyah is now 8 years old, and life wasn't getting any easier for her mother as they were forced to move out of their apartment in Forest Brook.
So they was charging me regular rent, but I didn't know it because I didn't renew my lease. Every year you gotta renew your lease, and I was putting it off, not knowing, naive, back to that. Bill was like 4 months behind, I think. That was 800 times 4, so yeah, I ain't have it.
She was also pregnant with her 4th child. So the mother of the man who fathered her last 2 children would allow them all to stay with her until Akeyia's new apartment down Hillside was ready to move into.
I was pregnant by my 3rd baby dad again. I felt good. It was like a fresh start because at this time I had started a relationship with God. So I started going to church all the time. I'm in church every Sunday. I felt like I was sent back to Hillside for a reason.
Now around the same time all of this would transpire, Samiyah's father was nearing the end of his bid. He's been inside now for 5 years, and he was up for early release in the next 3 months. So his release would be right around Samiyah's 9th birthday. So as she awaited his return, still asking her mother every day when he was coming home, her father would be sitting in his cell in pain. He complained of having complications with his stomach, prompting him to put in several orders to see a nurse or go to the infirmary. But his requests were denied over and over.
And I didn't know he was going through what he was going through. Yeah, he didn't tell me. Every once in a while he'll call. I still wasn't financially good at that moment, so I won't send him the money all the time. His sister and them was taking Samiyah up there like once a month on the bus that they do once a month trip.
And not only was he denied, he was thrown in the hole afterward. And what did the guards at Powhatan Correctional Center do? They stood there and watched as he would ultimately pass away, not knowing that his appendix had burst. And now her mother Akeyia had the horrible task of telling her soon-to-be 9-year-old that her father was never coming home. Not even sure how to break that kind of news to her. But Samiyah's mother, which is Samiyah's grandmother, would pick her up from school that day and ultimately deliver the news. After the ordeal, a woman who worked for the prison called the family, informing them that her father's death was not an accident.
She said she snuck to call his family and told his mom she was the one that pronounced him dead. When she got there, he wasn't dead. They stood over him and watched him die instead of reviving him. He could have been revived, she said that as well, but they let him die.
She then suggested they dig deeper into the situation and find out what really happened to him. And so they did. And after doing so, the truth was revealed. as a way to compensate them or at least apologize. His daughter Samiyah would be granted an undisclosed amount of money that she could access upon her 18th birthday, which makes it all the more saddening because her birthday was always a major celebration for her. Every year they'd throw a party for the sweet girl with the sweet birthday of Valentine's Day. She'd lose her father once at the age of 3 and then lose him forever at the age of 8, forcing her to navigate the rest of her life without that hero she once knew. And so with no choice in the matter, her mother stood firm, soldiering on the best way she could for her daughter, Samiyah. By the end of the year, Akeyia and her kids would move into a new apartment in the Hillside housing projects. Upon leaving Forest Brook, they couldn't take much with them, so they would have to start over from scratch.
Because mind you, I grew up there as a kid as well, so it felt like I'm trying to change my lifestyle, I'm changing my mindset. So maybe I'm here to, save the people. I'm thinking like I want to work with the kids, trying to go to the rent office and see if I could bring back the recreation Boys and Girls Club like we used to do back in the day. I thought that's why I was here. I was okay with it. I'm the type of person, I'm going to adapt to my environment, so I'm adapting.
Samiyah's behavior after her father passed became noticeable to her mother, as it would for any child who lost a parent. So as one year turns over into the other, she mostly stayed to herself, but she had such a magnetic energy that it attracted others to her, and she mirrored her mother and father in that manner. So needless to say, from ages 9 and up, she fully grew into that outgoing people's person she displayed as a child. She was literally the life of the party, the fashionista who was everyone's favorite person, and a big part of Samiyah's wardrobe stemmed from her mother's entrepreneur endeavors into the fashion lane. We briefly touched on her mother's background, and as we know, she had it hard growing up. And like most of us in the black community, having some fly clothes to wear was priority, even if the price tag told us differently. So early on, Akeyia got into making clothes, wanting to wear what she wanted, when she wanted. She finally decided to make that dream reality. She had a sewing machine but didn't know how to use it. She would ask family members or friends to show her the ropes, feeling as if she could just learn the basics of how to do it, then the rest was history. But being on someone else's time only weighed her down, made it harder to do what she had planned. So taking matters into her own hands, she surfed through YouTube, finding tutorials that taught her everything with no questions asked. So by the time Samiyah 12 to 13, something nice to wear was just another Tuesday to her. Samiyah also got into dance and cheerleading during this time, which was a true fit for the type of girl everyone knew her to be. But while life seemed to take a stride on the way to happiness and success, tragedy would strike the family once more. Akeyia's mother would pass away due to congestive heart failure, so she would essentially have to bear the same pain as her daughter when she lost her dad just a few years prior. But just as Akeyia was there for Samiyah, Samiyah was there for her mother as well. They would grieve, pay their respects, and move on through life as Akeyia's mother would intend. So while living in Hillside for the next year or so, Akeyia would rebuild her family, pushing through all the grief, the heartache, the loss, reviving what once was, having all their intentions on entering a new chapter in their life. Sometime after her mother's passing, Akeyia would acquire a voucher, and this aided her in moving to some apartments off of Afton Avenue, not too far from Hillside, which was located in the same area of Southside, which is today called the Bottom. For those of you watching that may wonder why this area is considered the Bottom, well, years back, unbeknownst to many, the south side of Richmond was broken down into 3 parts, whereas though areas closer to North Chesterfield like Town and Country, Blue Ridge, and Jefferson Village were considered uptown, and places like the Ville, the Dirty 30s, and Broad Rock were considered midtown. Then after passing both those areas, they eventually meet at a fork in the road, breaking off into Hall Street alone. And that one long road coming from this part of town feels like you're going down an everlasting hill where all points lead to the bottom. This is where you find areas like Blackwell, Oak Grove, Hillside, and Afton Ave, which is the next and final location stop of this story. Upon moving to their new home, they didn't know anyone in the neighborhood aside from their next door neighbor, who previously lived in Hillside the same as them. Samiyah was in her puberty stages, being 12 years old at the time, and just as before, her magnetic energy ensured they would know most of the neighborhood before the year came to an end. So life goes on. Samiyah would spend the most important years of her life here, building bonds with new people, getting into relationships, and experiencing her first real heartbreak. These years were shaping her into the woman that she'd eventually become. But due to another person's jealousy, anger, and mental instability, the world would never come to meet that woman. Her chance to take on the world herself was stripped away. stolen. 17 years of moments, memories, and love all reduced to a few seconds of one horrible, hateful situation. 3.5 years later, it's the year 2021, and the family was still living off of Afton Avenue, and Samiyah was now a senior attending school at George Wythe High. It's the beginning of fall, so a new school year had just started in the month of September. One day, while her mother Akeyia spent time with a friend of hers, her friend would refer her to a guy that she herself had grown up with named Mac, saying she needed a good guy in her life, someone different, and so she gave Akeyia his Facebook handle.
I went through a lot with my baby father and the previous boyfriend, and I was single for a year and a half before I started. Shot him a text, and we was texting from that moment on.
And ever since that first message was sent, a day didn't go by without the two talking with one another. Now Mac, he still dealt with his son's mother, who he had long planned to leave alone. So for the moment, their relationship would be totally platonic. As time goes on, these everyday conversations would help build an unbreakable bond, a bond that would also set off an extreme chain of events. Moving on to the month of October, their platonic relationship is grown on them both, and the time spent getting to know one another online would lead to Mac picking up Akeyia for the first time.
We started meeting up. From the first pickup, he was picking me up every day. He did tell me he had a situation that he's trying to get out of. He was saying he was unhappy, he didn't want to be with her. We moved on, we moved forward. Once we start spending the nights together, he kind of like got out this situation altogether. So I didn't know what he told her. I did hear him say, I'm gonna make sure you good, but I just don't want to be in a relationship with you. You already know we've been going through this. I guess she didn't want to let go of that situation.
Now in the midst of everything, her daughter Samiyah is living life as any regular 17-year-old girl. She would follow her mother's entrepreneurial footsteps as a fashionista, having aspirations on creating her own line of eyelashes, calling it Demise, which was a play off the words them and eyes, along with her own nickname, Mama. She was also her mother's sole model, being the first to show off all Akeyhia's new releases. So by default, Samiyah would be one of the best dressed around her neighborhood and at school. Now by the end of October, Akeyia would start working for a company she was previously employed by called True Heart Transportation. Then comes a few days later, the first week of November, and Mac would finally break things off with his son's mother. As you can imagine with anyone in this situation, his son's mother wouldn't take this news well at all. Now for the sake of third parties involved in this story, I won't be using real names due to risk of defamation lawsuits against myself or the channel. So for now, we'll call his son's mother Tasha. But if you know, you know. So for the next 8 months, Tasha would take matters well past the point of not taking it well, with her actions becoming hateful, jealous, and borderline obsessive. Mac would come back to an apartment intending on gathering up all his belongings, but Tasha refused his request. And above the basic things such as clothes, shoes, and hygiene products, he also had several firearms, one of which was a .22 rifle, an important detail that would come into play later in the story. Tasha would start driving by Akeyhia's apartment multiple times throughout a week's span, looking for her now ex-boyfriend, Mac. And this is only counting the times when Akeyia seen it with her own eyes. So it's eerie to wonder, how many times has this woman really done this? Now as the days passed up until November 20th, Akeyia and Mac were having another regular day, riding around while still getting to know each other. By now they had entered the sexual stage of their relationship, but as they drove through the city, enjoying each other's time, they were unknowingly being followed by Tasha, who decided to drive her friend's car opposed to her own so not to be noticed by Akeyia or Mac. This was also the moment that Tasha finds out that Akeyia and Mac were even talking, which enraged her even more. Upon reaching the Four Seasons Hotel off of Laburnum Avenue, Tasha chose this moment to confront the two. As Mac and Tasha argued in the parking lot of the hotel, Akeyia stayed inside the vehicle, deciding to mind her business. Tasha would try to get her attention by banging on the driver's side window in a rage, but an unbothered Akeyia, while sparking her blunt, acted as if Tasha was invisible. So as things escalated, Tasha would call the police on Mac, claims of him punching her in the face, and among other lies as well. The altercation would end with Mac giving his son's mother the key to her apartment, making it official that things were over between them.
She knew it was over at that point when she caught us. She knew it was over with her and him. She was already out of pocket from the moment. From the moment it started, she was out of pocket. And maybe, I don't know, because I'm not going to be naive to the situation or how dudes go back and forth with their baby moms. You know, I'm not going to put that out of the picture either, you know. If he was going back and forth, I don't know what it was with them. I just know what it was with us. I do know for a fact that he told her that they was over. And I do know he said he was going to make sure her and her kids was okay. He was gonna look out for them even though they weren't together. In my mind, I was like, if a dude break up with me like that, I would have been okay with that.
As we fast forward up until December of 2021, here's where Tasha's hate and jealousy for Akeyia's relationship escalates into full-blown obsession. Because not only would she spread negative rumors about Akeyia around her workplace, she'd take it a step further and actually become an employee for the same company, True Heart Transportation, all in efforts to sabotage Akeyia's job by spreading more rumors to her supervisor.
My job told me that she was trying to get me fired. She was telling them to drug test me, I get high. They drug test at the job. You gotta pass the drug test. She kept telling them, drug test me, drug test her, drug test her, drug test her. Why is you telling me to drug test her? She did the same thing you did to get the job, ma'am. One time she called up to the job to call in from work. She told them her kid was sick. I caught her outside my house. So I called the job and told the job she's sitting outside my house. They ain't fired her at that point. I left before she left. When I left, she left.
Akeyia then wants to file an order of protection against Tasha, but it was denied due to no direct words of contact with Akeyia herself. So she tries her best at letting it go and moving on, never having a word or altercation with Tasha personally. She had business to attend to, kids to raise, and a life she very much wanted to live, happily.
By her just coming to my house, sitting out there, riding past, saying what she's saying, I was not able to get a restraining order. Normally, I'm like, I'll beat her ass, I ain't worried about her. But I seen how she was doing with Mike, and she was so strategic with it. She really planned certain things. She really planned this out to me. And she said some things like, I'm gonna make you hurt like I hurt. Girl, I already hurt like you. You can get over that.
Telling me he loved me, kissing on me while you was lying. Your boyfriend was on Garbage Street, telling me how much he loved me.
You that desperate.
And he tell me that
You that
every
desperate.
fucking day.
Okay, he love you. He love you. He love me too though.
We're going into the year of 2022, and on the day of February 1st, Mac will yet again attempt to get his belongings from Tasha's apartment. But just like the previous attempt, Tasha refused to let him do so. Instead, she would start an argument with Mac, finding any reason to cause friction because of her bitterness toward the situation.
She was literally living walking distance from my home, from Afton. Mike went by to get his stuff. He set his phone in the car, while she putting stuff in the car, because she did put the bullshit stuff in there, grabbed his phone, ran. So he chasing her and ended up getting the phone back. He called me. Man, this following me. He got his phone, left. I'm like, just come home, just come home. So he pulls up at the house. She's still following. I'm thinking, if you come here, she gonna stop. No. No, sir. She got the gun on her this time. When he pull up, she's trying to red beam. So that's how I knew she had the gun too.
They'd noticed Tasha's car as it slow crept by the apartment, which prompted Mac to rush out and confront her. Upon him reaching the driver's side door, Tasha hits the gas as if she were attempting to drive off. But really, she had other plans. As Mac turned around, making way back to the apartment, Tasha fires a single shot in Mac's direction.
Yeah. Let me see my phone, cause now you shooting. Now I got him.
He wasn't hit, but the bullet would pierce the exterior wall of Akeyia's apartment.
That's that one shot that made it. It's rusty now. But yeah, that was since February the 1st. So when the gun went off, that's when he started walking back to the house, because she pulled off, do a U-turn at the bottom of the apartment, came back. She let off 3 times. Once, when she was right there with him, when he was at the car, came back, pow, 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 at the door. So that night, Samiyah was there as well. So her aunt came and got her.
Not long after, Akeyia files a complaint in which a warrant was put out for Tasha's arrest after the shooting. Tasha would deny Akeyhia's claims, not knowing she was being recorded. It would be a full month before Tasha sees the inside of a jail cell, spending the better part of 3 weeks inside. Now this one-sided feud she's had with Akeyia and Mac would just fester more. and more.
I was just so tired of him going through stuff with her. So at this time in my mind, I'm like, if she come to me, I'm going straight to the police. I ain't giving her no wiggle room because she is crazy. When they gave me the warrant, they ended up locking her up. They ain't catch her till March 3rd of the following month. That's when it was so peaceful. It was, when I say so peaceful, we was able to breathe. Woosah. At that moment, I was feeling sorry for her because I knew how I felt for to get broke up with. For a man to leave me at your lowest or whatever, even if it won't your lowest. I know what that pain, the stuff that she reacted on and actually did, I thought about it. Ooh, I should send the police over. Ooh, I should. She did that stuff. I felt her hurt. I've been there before, but you gotta boss up. That's the only thing she didn't do. She never did that part. So I'm like, well, he ain't never did none of this stuff to me. I see where you went wrong. I see where she went wrong. By accusing him every day, you know, little stuff like that. Being passive aggressive. I knew what to do and what not to do. I learned from my previous relationships as well.
Not long after her 20-day stay, she allegedly asked certain individuals to possibly go inside Akeyia's home, with intentions on scaring the family or making any feeble attempt to antagonize Akeyia, continuing to spread more outlandish lies that passed the point of dangerous and ridiculous, calling the rent office of her complex, saying Akeyia and Mac were big drug dealers that scared everyone in the neighborhood. That following month, on the 6th of April, an officer would visit the home of Akeyia, saying that they had a strange, anonymous complaint about an adolescent girl being tied up in chains inside Akeyia's home. She'd of course deny the claims, and the officers would leave afterward.
She sent the police to my house and said Samiyah was in. She didn't say Samiyah, she just said a 16-year-old girl was in the house howling with a collar around their neck. So that was weird. And the police that came to the house even said strange call. Looked at each other. We all said her name at the same time. The police left, they ain't do nothing. They just was like, it was strange. We said it was strange. We thought it was her. Ain't no way we could prove it once again.
That following day of April 7th, Akeyhia's out shopping at a local beauty supply store, grabbing a few last minute things before she leaves out of town for New Orleans, a trip she and Mac had planned for his birthday, which was April 10th. Now by chance, Tasha finds herself in the same store, and they would bump into each other. We can't confirm if this was another orchestrated effort or just a genuine coincidence, but after exiting the store, her vindictive vendetta with the woman of her son's father was worse than ever.
I ended up seeing her in the hair store, in the beauty supply store. It was it was just so spooky. So this was the FaceTime. I'm on FaceTime talking. I'm getting ready, getting my little lashes, getting my little earrings, ready for the trip. We lock eyes. It was just this evilness in her. I just seen it. It was just so, if she could have killed me with her eyes, I would have been dead in the beauty supply store. And it was like, when we lock eyes, it was like, what did I gotta say? And then I end up, let me just go. So she left out the store before me. So when I left out the store, I did a U-turn to go back down to Afton. Mind you, she lived that way too. So by the time I did my U-turn, she was behind me. So she following me at this point. I'm on the phone like, girl, she following me. She was like, let her get in front of you. I slow up and let her get in front of me. Then she turned off and went to her street. I kept straight and going home. So I was like, all right, so she left. I was like, all right, she let me live. But that's when she went to press charges and said, I shot at her.
As an effort to get her lick back, she'd make a similar call to police that Akeyia had made 2 months before, which would claim Akeyia fired shots at her after following her home. A bold claim, but an untruthful one also. Officers soon after would put Akeyia in cuffs and hauled off to jail. But she was released the following day of April 8th after proving that Tasha lied about the whole ordeal.
My FaceTime call was my proof. So I'm like, oh, so I'm John Wick at this moment because I got the phone in my hand, FaceTime, driving, and shoot. Oh, I'm a beast.
So Akeyia and Mac, trying to ignore and avoid the drama, would pack up the rest of their things and leave for New Orleans later that night.
We left. We was excited because we made it through the airport. We ain't had warrants. We was able to go. We felt free. Like, whew, we made it, y'all. So when we got there, we turning up, we chilling. We thought we made it. We thought we were okay till the lady said, the messages through Instagram. That was weird. That same picture where I'm in the bathroom recording, the lady was inboxing me, texting me, DMing me. It's weird to me because I was talking back to her and it was like why did you even pay her some,
saying things such as she wants to hurt you and your baby too much. Now there are more than enough folks who refuse to believe in spiritual callings, palm readings, basically anything in the realm of being psychic. And not for nothing, who's to say this wasn't some random troll? Or maybe this was someone who knew exactly what they were about to do to you. Or lastly, what if this really were a person with psychic abilities? Because these very messages were sent merely 2 hours before her daughter Samiyah would come face to face with several men that she didn't know.
She calling, she won't stop calling, and she was calling nonstop. The lady won't lie. Everything she was saying, then she was like, her name started with a T. She's trying to hurt your baby. She want to hurt your baby. I showed Mike, literally, his exact words, well, we out here now. Ain't shit she can do. I'm like, you right. So we going on about our business. Continue our night. When they got us something to eat, wind down, went back to the Airbnb, falling asleep.
Now while her mom was off enjoying herself, her daughter Samiyah would be home with Akeyia's sister who also lived with them. But on this night, Samiyah had some plans of her own. There was a party being held at a hotel, and she would be in attendance with a few of her friends. Before leaving their apartment, Samiyah and her friend were downstairs recording videos for TikTok. Now standing close to the kitchen window, they caused the Ring camera to go off, which alerted her mother, Akeyia, who checked the camera from her end of the cell phone.
Trying to fall asleep, the Ring camera went off. I looked the first time, it was Mama dancing in front of it, her friend, doing TikTok. So I'm like, what you doing, girl? She was like, Mom, you like my fit? I'm like, I didn't really like her fit. I was surprised she wore that. So I'm like, yeah, it's all right. I'm like, have fun, girl. Because I ain't like what she wore. I was like, why you wear that? She's like, you don't like it. I'm like, it's all right, girl. So they continued doing their little TikToks. I went off there. I ain't go back on there. I went to sleep.
But this moment would be all the more saddening for Akeyia, as this would be the last time she had a conversation with her second-born baby girl. So later in the night, after partying all night, enjoying herself like teenagers do, she called an Uber to pick her up. It was well past midnight when she got back to Afton, and by the time she got up to the door, she noticed her cell phone was missing. She sat on the porch, crying about it, prompting her aunt Deshauna, Akeyia's sister, to come outside. Trying to cheer her up, she offered to roll up together. But not long after, the Uber driver would bring back the phone after Samiyah left it in the back seat. They made their way inside and her aunt continued to get ready for her trip to ATL, which wouldn't be much of a problem with Samiyah being 17 years old at the time. She was more than comfortable with being home alone. So Samiyah, tired from her night of fun, she relaxed inside her bed. While on the phone with a few friends, she recorded a video telling them about their night, what happened and how things had gone, and posted it online shortly after.
You're not finna play me, and I'm from the inside, so whatever you want, I'm on. You got me f***ed up.
But all while doing this, she had no idea there were 3 masked men outside her apartment, ready to breach her home. One of the intruders shattered the window, making his way inside. Samiyah's aunt, who's still in the bathroom just finishing styling her hair. So upon hearing this shattered glass, Samiyah initially thought it was the large mirror that stood in their living room. Now wanting to investigate a little more, she made her way toward the stairway. After the first intruder lets himself in, he opens the door for 2 of his guys, not knowing the 3 men were already inside. But it wasn't until Samiyah came midway down the steps that she comes face to face with the masked man in all black. Then without any hesitation, questions, he then shot Samiyah through the chest.
By the time he came in, pow, get on the ground. That's what they did. That was it. That was the deadly bullet right there. My sister was in the bathroom doing her hair. That's another thing they keep saying. She was ready to take a shower. She was taking a shower. She wasn't taking a shower. Had she would have been taking a shower, she would have been dead too. One shot, that was it. That one shot was from the bottom of the steps, going up diagonal. The same bullet that killed my baby would have killed her. As soon as you step out her door of her room, you right there at the top of the steps. So she just stepped out her door of her room. Bam, shot. Everybody get on the ground. She begged to get that room. That wasn't even her room at first. That was their room and they barely was there. So she falling down the steps, he going up the steps. My sister then, that's when she got in the shower and tried to hide. He ain't see her till he dropped something. When he was picking it up, the mirror that she was using, it was still open from while she was on her hair. So if that mirror was closed and the shower curtains was closed, she wouldn't have got caught. He dropped whatever he dropped. As he was picking it up, he seen my sister. Hey, y'all come get her, man. Made her go downstairs. She was going downstairs, she seen Mama. She thought Mama was on the ground. That's why my sister ain't clicked that she was gone, because she know Mama would have listened and got on the ground, so she thinking Mama on the ground. She ain't know, it didn't register to her brain that Mama was gone. When she went downstairs, she sitting on the couch. She like, y'all all upstairs, that's not even her room. That's not even their room. So he like, where the money at? Where their room at? She said, their room back there. So he make her go back there. She said she walked on the glass and she was shaking. You know, she was so scared, shaking, walking on the glass. Went in the room. While she was searching, he asked, she said, where you think where you think they had it? I don't know where they had some money. Ain't no money here. While she was talking to them, he went out. When he left out the room, she heard him say, Misha, we good? Thinking is they good to leave. So in my mind, Misha is their getaway driver. She said, yeah. So it's like she looked around to see if they was good. That's when they left. When they left out the house, he had to throw up after they realized what they did. They weren't supposed to kill her. That's what I'm thinking the threw up came from. Because mind you, I got the text message that said, cuz threw up. So my sister like, she creep out the room, hello, y'all, hello? She seen all the doors open. Ain't nobody in there. She go right there with my man. She picked my arm up. He dropped back down. She panicked. I'm going to get her some help. I'm going to get her some help. She ain't know Alexa could call the ambulance. She ain't have her phone. She thought the killers took her phone. So we under the impression that the killers got her phone.
The night is now rolled over into April 10th. So Akeyia and Mac was officially celebrating his birthday. They were thousands of miles away, not even prepared for the devastating news she would receive moments later.
She ended up going down Hillside. She went to that friend house because she knows she was up at that time of night. She get up late, she be up all night. And the people that's at their house, if anybody follow her there, they gonna protect her. They ain't gonna let nothing happen to her. Cause we from Hillside, we grew up in Hillside. And the girl house that she went to, she from Hillside, she grew up there with us too. You know, so we like family, we call each other cousins. That's who she went to first. She did try to knock on next door neighbor and the people beside them. They didn't answer the door. The two neighbors didn't answer the door. And then she was thinking, well, maybe they might come back and try to finish me off. I gotta get from out. I gotta get from here. Because I know these people down here, they gonna protect me. I know they probably got their gun. They up. They got their phone. My phone rang, but it was a Facebook call. And it was Quanya, our friend down here side. I answered the phone. It was my sister. Me and my sister bond like this. We already do this thing what we've been doing since we was younger. When we want to know a story, give it to me detail by detail. Once she gave me that story, she put me there. It was no ifs, ands, or buts. She put me there. When she told me about my baby, a piece of me ripped from the inside. It was so unexplainable. She put me there. Like, I knew what happened when she first told me. Me and Mike looked at each other and said, Till, once again, Till, that bitch. We knew. My body dropped. The phone dropped. It was like everything in me just dropped. Fetal position, balled up, and cried. And all I could chant was, God, I don't want to be a soldier for you no more. I can't stay here. I can't stay here till Tuesday. Oh my God, what I'm gonna do? I ain't had no money to come back home. So I'm like, what I'm gonna do? I can't stay here till Tuesday. My baby. So his sister, his cousin came to our Airbnb because he was on the phone telling them. They came to our Airbnb. They started calling the air flight and ordering us a flight. our flight was delayed. Everything. That was the worst part of my life. I could not get home fast enough. Man. And then the flight got delayed. By the time I got home, I went straight to the police department and told them that bitch Tia killed my daughter. I said, I know she on house arrest. She ain't do it herself. She got her oldest 2 kids and or their friends, and they went in my house and they did that. I don't care what y'all say, y'all gonna have to prove to me that she ain't do this, cause she did it. And I left. Went home. Everybody outside, China 12, China 6, everybody but 8, and that's why I f***ed with 8. They the only ones that won't down on me about it. Like, let me breathe, let me get this together now. My girl gone. Went to her room, broke down. A friend of mine told me, calm down, cause they gonna go off your energy. When he said that, that put me in mind. That got me together. I remember what I prayed for. I jumped up, I wiped my tears, and I went down and greeted everybody. It was like when I jumped up, wiped my tears, it was like I was in the spirit. I was in the spirit. I knew what was going on, but I couldn't really feel what was going on. That part that ripped out of me, it just won't dare, like, it ain't clicked. So it was just different.
News sources described the altercation as a botched home invasion gone bad, but the locals had their own assumptions, especially her mother, Akeyia.
Her death marks the 3rd teenager shot and killed in Central Virginia in just 2 weeks. 8 News reporter Sabrina Shutters is live in Richmond this morning. Sabrina, local leaders in this girl's family just so frustrated.
Yeah, Delaney, well, that young girl's mom is calling her daughter's death a total senseless act of violence. No one has been arrested in connection with this shooting, and Yellardy's mother says her teenage daughter will have a homegoing service in the next coming days. Pernell live in Richmond, Sabrina Shutters, 8 News.
On the day of April 20th, 10 days after Samiyah's passing, the community would show up and support the family of Samiyah Yellardy.
I remember saying, I just want to have fun. I kept saying that. And people probably look at me weird, and they're saying, I set my baby up and this stuff. But I didn't want to feel down. I was numb. I just wanted to have fun. I didn't want to feel, I was running. I would say I was running from feeling down and depressed. I had battles with depression too much. So I did not want to feel that. I still to this day do not want to feel that depression, that deep depression. I just don't. I don't. And that's why I'm able to rely on God as much and as strong as I am and do, because that's the only way that I'm able to feel woosah, peace. And the world can't take that from me.
They later gathered at United Nations Church on the south side of Richmond for the funeral. Inside a crowded room of family, friends, and community members will remember Samiyah as someone who made everyone smile. They were calling for the end to violence, with young teenagers across the city losing their lives becoming the new norm.
It's time for healing. It is important that we stand up and fight and use our voices. This is just the beginning.
Stop the killing! Stop the killing! Save our children! Save our children!
After the funeral, they then make way for her burial. And as if the day a mother having to bury her child wasn't sacred enough, Tasha wouldn't care, as she would follow the fleet of cars from her grandmother's house off of 28th Street, never coming into contact with Akeyia. This all but furthered Akeyia's thoughts in Tasha having a hand in her daughter's death. Among all the other vindictive, obsessive, and hateful things she said and done, this would be one of the worst. Not long after Samiyah's death, Tasha, who had no remorse for Akeyia's horrible loss, would still call and pressure Akeyia's rent office to kick her out.
When I came to them and told them the situation, like, look, I'm not safe. My baby died. This girl stalking me. I'm in a not a witness protection, a women's against violence. Women against women violence. That's the type of program I'm in now. So if she was to find out where I live at right now, they got to move me within 72 hours. When I went to them and told them what I was going through, She was like, Miss Pernell, I wish you would have been came to us. We could have been moved you. This girl been calling us trying to get you put out and had an earful for me. Just was telling me everything. From the time she got out, it was 14 days, literally, before my child died. And every day she called them with a new, except for the weekend. This how good of a stalker she is, because in the midst of that stuff, we was getting a different rent office. They was transferring from Hillside. Yeah. So Hillside was no longer a part of Afton. She knew who my rent office people was before me. I didn't even know who I was supposed to even call to talk to, because I was used to going down Hillside. She was just like, I'm not putting my tenant out because of no salty baby mama. That's what she told me that she told the girl. And when she told the girl that, she tried to get her fired. The girl tried to get my rent office lady fired.
Saying she would ask her, and I quote, "What more do you want?" Her daughter had just died. And Tasha's response, "So, why you ain't put them out yet?" A person with so much disdain for Akeyia over the loss of her now ex-baby daddy that she wanted this grieving mother to suffer in any way that she could muster. For months after the shooting, Akeyia would contact detectives handling the case every Monday for an update or to provide information she felt could lead to an arrest. She had her own reservations on who did this to her daughter, but without proof, it was all considered speculation. There was only one person before the murder that she had any problems with, and that was Tasha.
This what made me want to get my baby story out there in the first place. And that's why I did that live that I did on Facebook, because he told me it's about drugs.
If it weren't for her, them boys wouldn't have thought about coming in my and for them to sit right there and say, oh my God, my mama said, well, nobody gonna be there. She must think he moved like he used to move at her house. Why would that get back to me?
This was his words. Miss Pernell, you know that Michael sells drugs and you know your daughter died behind drugs. Not to my knowledge. No. He was working, got his license. He ain't never had his license before. He was doing different things. He was moving different. So to my knowledge, no. That's why it was so weird, because I don't sell drugs. Had they would have did this situation the proper way, they would have figured it out. Because if we want to get deeper and technical, it was deaths that happened after my baby, because they still had the gun. Now they probably got rid of it now that that person lost their life because of it. Her son's friend, that I believe was a third person, he passed away. He got murdered getting off the city bus. I never spoke on that publicly, but I felt deep down inside, because it was just like a coincidence that happened. They said they seen that boy on the side of my house taking off a mask or putting on a mask that same night. Now he was taking off the mask or putting it on the side of the house. After that happened, he started living with the girl. Her and her son, like that, they brothers. So after that happened, he started living with you, and they seen him on the side of my house. To me, he was a third person, and it's nothing nobody can say. And it was a feeling I felt when he passed away. He wasn't the one that threw up, but he was getting to the point where he wanted to say something. Because I kept hearing that too, whereas somebody wanted to speak out. Somebody wanted to speak out. But the mama was coaching them. Her son was raised by his daddy's sister. She called me. I had that recording. I sent it to the people. When she was telling me her nephew ain't had nothing to do with it, she was covering for him at first. When her son got killed in Tia's yard, that same aunt called me and told me that boy know everything that happened to my daughter. Tia's son is her nephew, which was with her son when he got killed in Tia's yard. Mind you, Tia told the police she ain't know that little boy and closed the door in their face. That's your son, cousin, who was raised with your son. That conversation did a whole 360. The aunt called me and tried to protect her nephew. Then the aunt called me and told me that her nephew knew what happened with my baby. She had already talked to the police and told them when she was trying to protect him, so she ain't want to put herself back in. And now you're not credible now, because you already done lied for him. I feel like they could have even found out that she was the one that did that strange call. Y'all could have even did that and seen she was the one. Y'all knew she was the one that falsely accused me of shooting at her.
Samiyah's family and friends continue to push for answers and keep her name alive, finding comfort in fond memories of her.
Whoever put this out here for my baby, I really appreciate you. Because my baby ain't got her tombstone yet. And I love it. Thank you. She's so beautiful. I miss her so much.
An artist from the community created a memorial bench in her name, painted bright purple, and it was located on the corner of Afton Avenue, placed there shortly after Samiyah was killed, with many people paying their respects with flowers, candles, and cards. But just 2 years later, Samiyah's memory was stolen from the corner of her old neighborhood, causing even more heartbreak for her family and loved ones. Akeyia reaches out to both the police and local news outlets and wanted answers.
It was 2 flags. One got taken that day when she was there. Just so happened the next day, my baby flag was gone. I post and said, if anybody's seen my baby flag, please put it back. That's when she ended up going live and she ended up speaking on me.
I don't sit around talking about nobody's deceased child. I don't go if I don't like her or not. I'm not talking about her deceased child. And I'm not gonna make it my business to go out the way and go remove a flag or whatever from her daughter's grave. Like, come on, man. Y'all just are weird. And nobody ain't gonna stop me from going in that graveyard. Let's get that clear. Because my brother buried out there, my grandma and everybody else. Ain't nobody gonna stop me from going in that graveyard. I'm gonna go in that anytime I want to.
But mind you, she been blocked since me and this man first started messing with each other.
As of now, no one has been arrested in connection with Samiyah's murder, and the public who has their own theories will take to Facebook to voice their concerns and frustrations. With Tasha being center of accusations, there would be others accusing Akeyia herself of hiring those boys to murder her own child. Anonymous pages created, all in the name of tarnishing Akeyia's image. Now it came to a time where her firstborn child Listeqn would side against his mother. Akeyia and her son bumped heads a lot over the years, and she thought the older he got that maybe he would take more to her. But it would only get worse, especially after the loss of her daughter. She still tried to rekindle and build their relationship because of her daughter's loss, but Listeqn would tell her, and I quote, "You ain't just lose her, Mom, you lost me too." And the kid would say that's exactly how he treated her. So after years of struggling to raise him along with his siblings, she washed her hands with the disrespect when he turned 18 years old. Another year goes by after Samiyah's passing, and the money meant for Samiyah from her father's tragic death would be distributed within the family, with Akeyia having sole control. She gave her eldest son Listeqn $10,000 of said money, but denied his request for more. They bump heads again over the matter, prompting him to go to social media with claims of his aunt's story not adding up for the night of the murder, saying they were unanswered questions and she knew more than she let on, making the case that Samiyah's murder stemmed from money. The same money that Samiyah was supposed to receive when she turned 18. The same money his mother granted him a large portion of as well. Only the family knew about the money, and no life insurance policy was set for Samiyah. Now the detective over his case would discover the type of gun used to murder Samiyah, which was a .22 rifle. The same type of weapon that Mac himself had owned. And if you remember, this rifle was among the several things in Mac's belongings that his baby mama, Tasha, refused to let him get from her apartment after their breakup. This would stack up upon all the other circumstantial evidence on Tasha's involvement, who's yet to have a single charge pressed against her.
I don't got peace. I don't got peace because the people, I don't care about the people knowing. I want my son to know. My oldest boy, I want him to know the truth. He went left. I know this is a deep situation. Him losing his sister is deep and dear to all of us. He's not the only one. And I feel like he's supposed to be with us in this time of this grief. And he's so far away from it because of what he allowing himself to believe or think. But I know for a fact with my soul, if God could take me right now, if I said any other, I try to take the girl out the situation. If I take her out the situation, it's no other way. It's nobody that I could think of that would want something like this to happen or say, it's nothing. If she ain't do it, and like I said, they would have to prove to me that she ain't do it because all this stuff happened and I went through so much with females, fighting females, popping up with Imagine, I said I would want to do those things. She just literally did those things. So I know from a fact, coming from a hurt female. I know for a fact this happened because she felt it in her head and she reacted. I felt it in my head before. I ain't had the heart to react to that. My heart ain't that dark to actually, hey, can you go rob my baby daddy's house? Don't kill him, just beat him up. She asked somebody. That's another reason why I know. Before my baby passed, she asked somebody else to do it before she got her sons to do it. Just so happened, them people knew me. Like, I ain't doing that. So that solidifies it too. Now you just got somebody who would do it for whatever reason.
With all of this that you're still going through, do you have a message for other mothers who may be going through the same thing, and for the mothers to come who may go through it later?
My message is draw close to God. That's my message. Through it all, that's what's been keeping me. If you want to know where I get my strength from or why I'm able to have fun in the midst of losing my kid or carry on, period. I go through it. It's not easy. It's definitely hard. I'm reading God's word for myself and I'm getting to know the word of God myself. And it's some things that I can lean on to fall back on. This is just temporary. This is just for now. And in the word it said I'm gonna see my baby again. I don't know how or when. I just lean on God's word. We all fall short all the time, but it's more about the relationship with God. You need it. It's impossible because you're still going to go through everything you're going through and more, but it's better when you do it with God.
I want to send my sincere condolences to the entire Yellardy family and Pernell family, because no parent should have to bury their child. I not only hope to entertain you guys, but I hope to teach and spread awareness, because things like this happen every single day. Your friend, your sister, your daughter, it can happen. So if you see the signs, if you understand the situation, if you can get in front of it before it escalates, don't waste time to do so. There's a lot of controversy surrounding this story, a lot of talk, a lot of people's own assumptions. And I only wish that this story can shed light, because no matter what, truth is truth. Not your truth, but the truth. If you have any information regarding Samiyah's case, please contact her mother, Akeyia Pernell.